Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
And as Nicole told you outside, my name is Flotilla Staff Officer Louis DiLeo. I am the vocalist and the principal trumpet of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary Band. Now, are there people here who do not know what the Coast Guard Auxiliary is? Don't be ashamed, because 7 years ago I didn't either. Okay, you know what? Okay. The Coast Guard Auxiliary is a civilian volunteer branch of the United States Coast Guard. And there are as many Coast Guard auxiliarists as there are United States Coast Guardsmen. So we have doubled their force by 100%. Yes, we are the smallest branch of the military. We are not part of the Department of Defense. We are part of the Department of Homeland Security, formerly of the Treasury Department. Our main purpose is dealing with recreational boating, teaching boating safety, and doing inspections of vessels. But there's one thing that we do have, and that is a band. We have the Coast Guard Auxiliary Band. All of the other forces, the Army, Navy, Marines, have many, many bands. They have their premier bands in Washington. They have reserve bands. They have active duty bands. They have National Guard bands. The Coast Guard has one band. You're talking about a force of military that has less people than the New York City Police Department. There are more New York City policemen than there are United States Coast Guardsmen. So, that one band is at the Academy up in New London, and they are very busy. They have a lot to do. They can't do it all, so they have us to fall back on. And we do things like ship commissionings and retirement ceremonies, change of command ceremonies. And we are the musical ambassadors of the auxiliary, the musical ambassadors of the Coast Guard, and we offer musical assistance to the Coast Guard when necessary. I personally, since 2006, have sounded taps at 9,068 funerals. It's an incredible number. And I don't plan to stop. I'm not dead yet, so that number will increase, and it will increase tomorrow, and it'll increase the day after that. But it is a great honor for me, and there is no higher calling for a military musician than those 24 notes. Those 24 notes are considered the most difficult 24 notes in all of music. There are times when something will happen that'll grab you. You can't get your breath. You can't play. You force it through. And when you get done, you better take a nap, because it's been very stressful. When I first started full-time with the Army doing this is before the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Remember, I didn't know about the Coast Guard Auxiliary until 7 years ago. When I first started doing it full-time for the Army National Guard, in the first 3 months, I lost 20 pounds and half my hair. And that was all self-imposed pressure that I put on myself, because it absolutely, absolutely, absolutely had to be perfect. Because for that 1 minute, I am the sole representative of the entire nation saying thank you and farewell to this person. And that responsibility is awesome. I didn't realize it, how awesome it would be and how stressful it would be until I started doing it. I've gotten over it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be standing here now. But it is a great honor. And I've also had the honor of sounding taps at Alexander Hamilton's grave down at Trinity Church. We do this twice a year. In military circles, we always celebrate the date of birth and commemorate the date of death. In those cases, he was born on January 11th, 1755, and he died on July 12th, 1804. You historians can, am I right? I got it, good. I'm not a historian. I am not a scholar on Alexander Hamilton. I'm just talking about what I know about. But matter of fact, Grand Chalet invited me to do the first time, and I said I would be there every time. And we've been there in snowstorms in January. And one time it took me 4 hours to get there and 4 hours to get home, but we did it. It was a half-an-hour ceremony. Those are for the, for the less hardy, we do in July as well to commemorate his death. That's usually hot, but that's better than snowstorm. If you have not seen that ceremony, it is put on by the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society, by the Coast Guard Auxiliary. And we've had guest speakers from Nevis, from at one time we sang Happy Birthday together, everyone in New York and everyone in St. Kitts, because of Alexander's home in Nevis. Is that pronounced right? Nevis. Okay. We sang it together, and the commanding officer from the Coast Guard brought his saber, and we cut the birthday cake for Alexander Hamilton. It was a wonderful thing. But the event that we do at Trinity Church is a very, very moving ceremony. And if none of you have ever been there, I invite all of you to come see it. It's wonderful, and it's very well attended, especially since the opening of the Broadway show Hamilton. They cannot keep the grass on the ground anymore. It's gone. It's gone. The grave is quite impressive. They've done some restoration work on that. And for me personally, given the opportunity to sing the national anthem at that ceremony and to sound taps at that ceremony is a great honor. He was not only the founder of the Coast Guard when he founded the Revenue Marine, but he was also a Major General in the Army. So I get it from both sides. Normally when we honor a general, he gets a fanfare and he gets a special bugle call called the General. Most people don't know that. They hear this all the time. A little dry, but I'll try. You hear this all the time. You hear that before they play Hail to the Chief. Well, that is called ruffles and flourishes. And depending on how many stars the general has or how many stars the admiral has, is how many ruffles and flourishes they get. So Alexander Hamilton, reaching the rank of Major General, would get 2 ruffles and flourishes, followed by the bugle call, the General. That would... Yeah, where's my cup? I have my Alexander Hamilton cup. After that, then they'd introduce everyone else. And if you had a ceremony where there were several flag officers or general officers present, only the highest ranking would get that honor of having that played. Everyone else follows behind. Very annoyed, but they follow behind. I did have one ceremony with the Coast Guard out in Phoenix, Arizona, which was a national conference where every flag officer wanted his. There were 14 of them. And then the Coast Guard Auxiliary Commodore said, well, you know, we get it too. And they said, no, it's not going to happen. So please come do see us down at Trinity Church. If you've never been to Trinity Church, it's an experience in itself. George Washington attended Mass there, also at the St. Paul's down the street. Two wonderful structures. I don't know if you've ever seen them. Heard a very interesting story about St. Paul's. I know I'm supposed to be talking about Alexander Hamilton, but I'm getting off of this. I did a ceremony at St. Paul's, and there was a representative from the British Navy there. And he informed us that the property that St. Paul's on still belonged to the Queen. She wasn't planning on taking it back, but just wanted to let us know that we were on the Queen's property. It did not belong to England. It was the personal property of King George III at the time. Yeah, which was very interesting. I'd never heard that before, but amazing, amazing. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to get off the topic again. Next week, we celebrate the 75th anniversary of D-Day. I've had the privilege of playing at the American Ceremony in Coville-sur-Mer, which is an amazing place. The most amazing thing is all of the crosses and the Stars of David that you see. When you stand in a military cemetery here in America, even Arlington, in most cases you're standing with people that led full lives and passed away. There are some that were killed in action. When you go over there, every one of those graves was killed in action. And it is an unbelievable feeling. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to play. Fortunately, I did play well. But it's amazing. My point being, with the 75th anniversary of D-Day, the 75th anniversary in military circles is usually considered the last reunion. None of those soldiers lived to see the 100th. The men that are celebrating the 75th are almost all in their 90s, and they are dying at a rate of 350 a day. There is approximately 600,000 World War II veterans still alive today, of the 18 million that wore the uniform during the war. So I would ask each and every one of you, if you know a living World War II veteran, to thank him, and thank him now, because time is fleeting. With that, I'd like to sing a song. And if you'd like to join in with me when we get to the point that you know, I would appreciate that. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be thankful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in this solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy this wonderful place. If you've never been here before, it's something to see. The upstairs restoration is wonderful. It's the first time I've been here, and it really looks great. So please enjoy the rest of the day. Remember, at 3 o'clock on Memorial Day. Anyone know the significance of that time? 3 o'clock on Memorial Day is the National Minute of Remembrance. Wherever you are, barbecues, shopping, whatever you decide to do that day, at 3 o'clock, take 1 minute and stop and reflect on all those that gave their lives in defense of this country. I will be at the flagpole at Long Island National Cemetery sounding taps at that time. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.